Every day, every day, every day, every day. I don't know everybody, everybody. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Beautiful rising. We're going over this. We're reacting today. We'll be reacting to this video. It was a vibe, kind of like sit down talk, but the discussion was what is being taught to our children. I did a reaction to a clip on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken, and it turned out to do pretty well. So decided to find the full video because I hadn't seen the full video. So like I said, this will be a fresh reaction. Still trying to get used to this live etiquette. I do a lot of weird things. So I just wanted to get into it, hop on here, see how my view is looking. I can't. I'm gonna have to play around with this. Let me see, because I low key wanna zoom in a little bit, but no biggie. So what's going on, beautiful people? You know, this is Jay. I'll go by Jay Spivey. Let's just keep it simple. You know, how we feeling today? How we doing? Working on your goals? You healing? Yeah. All right. So, like I said, let's get into this video. I already got it pulled up. So, it's literally already. Bam. All right. So let's get into it. So at the beginning, it starts off really fast. It starts off with an African American man speaking. That's just the context. So I have to let you know that this is literally how the video starts. Yeah. So it's getting good.
The privilege discussion, like that's a great conversation for you to have with your child. But I don't think.
1 minute. Forgot my headphones. It was on the homie Sheldon. I be forgetting I gotta put these bad boys in because of the video. So yeah, but I got my blunt ready, and you know we ready to react to some stuff. Let's see if I can get this over my head. All right, we ready? We ready? Am I still good? Am I still good? Am I still good? Okay. Let's see how this is gonna go.
I think that taxpayer-funded hatred should be something that we allow in our schools.
Okay, bro, real talk though, like brother to brother. Teaching white privilege does not inherently mean Black people are less. Factually incorrect.
Okay, I'm so glad that's not how it started. Like I said, this is my first. Give me a minute, bruh. I'm doing all of this and I'm missing a very important item. I'm walking around cleaning up the house. I did some cleaning. Did some cleaning right before, had to cleanse the space. But yeah, I'm glad that's not how it started because that was kind of awkward. Like that was the teaser. You know how they normally put at the beginning of the episodes. So yeah. Let's see what's going on here.
SATs.
No, wait. Gotta be careful.
I'm Mina Durson. I'm a correspondent here at Vice News, and we're going to talk about education today. We tried to bring a very diverse mix of voices here. Obviously, we're not going to be able to represent every single opinion out there when it comes to education, but we are really thankful for your time and for your perspectives. I also have 2 kids in school, so have experienced some of this from the parent side as well. So let's just start really broadly. What's the purpose of education?
I think the purpose of education is twofold. One, to help build and support the individual, but also help build and support society as a whole. Because even though you may not have a kid in education, you pay taxes to public school because we as a society depend on and need education for society to work.
I think the purpose of education is to educate and not indoctrinate. And I think that in a lot of ways we've strayed from that in the original purpose of what it's supposed to be.
I think it should be intelligence and character. I think you should be able to understand the world around you and understand who you are and your purpose and try to make the world a better place. I think that it has to be a mix of the skills, memorizing the formulas, understanding the world around you, but then also what to do with it.
And just to go off that, the idea that education, you have to balance the importance of memorizing the quadratic formula while simultaneously addressing social and political issues respectively. So children have both the know-how, general knowledge, and also kind of self-awareness and character so they're able to develop their own opinions.
Yeah, I think that the purpose of education is to understand the world that you exist in and use that understanding as a means for creating change or even understanding yourself on a deeper level.
I believe the purpose is simply just to prepare the individual to be successful in the society that they exist in.
Critical thinking, learn how to live out your full potential so you can be independent, and everything else really flows from there.
The purpose of education is to prepare children for the real life and also make sure that they are literate.
So I think the purpose is to raise the next generation of leaders. And when you think about what you want your leaders to be like, you want them to be knowledgeable and you want them to be compassionate. You want them to be self-aware. You want them to understand the best way to move forward, not just for themselves personally, but for their whole community.
When we talk about who's doing the educating, who should decide what's being taught?
Parents. I think that parents should have a huge say in what's going on in the classroom because it's their kids, not ours. As a public school teacher of 15 years, I was always aware that these are not my children. We have to make sure that we're respecting parents and their beliefs and their values.
Boom. Because yes, everybody's parenting is different. We all know that there's certain things that we don't want our kid to learn or understand. We want to teach them that. But again, society made school into this daycare and doing very poorly at it. Yeah, I would say there's good school systems and better neighborhoods. When I realized that with my baby brother. So when it came to my kids, I was always like, okay, I want to be on this end of town so I can get the better education from the better teachers, from the better students. Maybe all the students aren't better, because it's not always like that, but it's the structure. It's the teachers. And when the teachers got their head on right, everybody got their head on right. Most of the time.
I think the Constitution agrees with that.
Yes.
Here in America, ranging back to the early 1900s, plenty of Supreme Court cases have ruled.
When teachers have support, I say when they got their head on straight. They got to have their head on straight and they have to have support. Where are they getting their support from? It's a lot of teachers quitting. That's what this talk was really going to be about. It's a lot of teachers quitting. And this was one of those topics, like every it didn't matter what color you were, people was going ham on this because it's about parenting, it's about raising your kids. It's always somebody that don't have no kids that has an opinion. Like I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that are going to change once you have a kid and what you want them to be exposed to. Money talks. I had to realize that money talks when it comes to that. What you can keep your kids away from, it can be circled around how stable you are as a parent. That kind of thing. That could have ruffled some feathers, maybe. Yeah.
In that favor that it is the parents' right ultimately to decide a child's education, medical needs, etc.
I would push back though and say that there does need to be collaboration, right? I completely respect your idea of it is not our job as educators to put forth a belief in front of children, right? That includes not perpetuating parents' beliefs in the classroom as well. In my opinion, that would be keeping a non-biased viewpoint, simply presenting issues and then allowing kids to decide for themselves.
I would agree that I think it needs to be a collaborative effort. The way that we decide curriculum in Texas is that work groups comprised of community members, educators, parents.
That's how it's supposed to be. Oh, side note. The better school systems definitely have support of the families in the area, in means of showing up to PTA meetings. I remember when those were a big thing. I remember when the PTA meetings were a big thing. I remember seeing the letters even as a kid. I remember reading them, you know, but the community never really supported. And I know other counterparts, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I have to explain this. I don't really care for color. I grew up in a very diverse world. My little world was very diverse. I have family of all colors. So when I say something, it's not like I'm trying to be straight up fucking offensive. All right. This is a discussion. I'm just trying to have a intelligent conversation, in helping better further the education of our children and removing them from the toxic environments that some of our children see themselves in every day. All right. So, yeah, I know white people are showing up to the PTA meetings. I know maybe Asian descent are showing up to the PTA meetings. I feel like in certain areas, poor areas, quote unquote the hood, you know, these families have less time to be popping up on their kid and to be showing up at PTA meetings at 6 p.m. trying to, talk about what's going on with the school. Most parents would just say they don't have time for things like that.
Even in some cases, students and public service officials come together to draft curriculum plans, and then it's ultimately decided on by our State Board of Education, which has a lot of kind of assistance from parents as well. So I think that kind of format can be really effective because it also empowers students to become involved in the fate of their education. And as a student myself, I think that that's incredibly important because our perspectives need to be heard as well.
The voices of parents need to be heard in that equation. But unfortunately, what we've seen recently is that parents' voices have been demonized in this process. You've seen parents who've criticized local school boards labeled terrorists simply for caring about the quality of their education that their child is receiving. These teachers are temporary.
I have to say, I relocated. I won't say where. If you know me, you know. If you know me, you know. But the school system here, my gosh, like, I'm still getting myself together, but I told my daughter, like we're like this close from homeschooling or private schooling, and even in this area, private schooling is not really going to be a thing. I was already told that by a lovely non-indigenous woman. She was explaining to me, without attitude, without aggression, she was just letting me know that the diversity that I might be looking for, I'm not gonna find. And I was letting her know it's not about diversity, it's about structure. But again, in some of these areas, you got to realize what you're dealing with, and sometimes the fight is bigger than what you can handle for yourself. So sometimes it is best to put yourself in a position to be able to remove your children from some of these situations because they're dying. Like teachers quitting, subs not knowing how to handle the kids. Even that, I'm saying, even my kid joining in on, you know how it is, like the whole classroom being bad. So you think I'm not going to be the square. You just got to remove our kids from a lot of this BS.
temporary caretakers. When they come back home, it's the parent who has to explain that this is this radical belief that was put in front of you. This was this idea that you've never been raised around that parent now has to explain. And at the end of the day, that isn't just confined to a classroom. Now it's bleeding into their upbringing. And there's only one person responsible for their upbringing, and it's the parents. It's not the educator, it's not the teacher, it's their parents.
I like the idea of the collaboration, and obviously parents' voices belong at that table. I also like the emphasis on students having a say in this, and also other people adults that aren't parents. I'm invested in that too, even though I don't have